Hey, this is Lefty and Cheapa.
Hey, how's it going?
And here we are with Unbet movie review number 4. And this movie is a personal favorite of mine. It's going at 20 years old. I had zero expectation and zero knowledge of it when I seen it about 3 years after it came out in 2008-ish, 2009, whenever that was. And this movie's called The Descent. And it's about a group of cave divers or spelunkers that go into a cave, and it doesn't the vacation or the trip doesn't go as planned. What was your initial reaction of the movie, Chiba?
The trip doesn't go as planned is about as big an understatement as ever. That was my overall thought. No. The trip definitely doesn't go as planned. They open up to a tragic scene, of course, the way horror movies tend to do. By the way, you guys, let me tell you, I hope my cousin's pullout game is stronger than his I'll guide you through the jump scenes game, because that was whack. My heart was like palpitating throughout this movie.
Well, I hadn't seen the movie in a while, and so I forgot like some stuff that happens over the course of the movie, and
Boy.
and I said, yeah, I did get some of them. There was a couple that I missed.
Yeah, some crucial ones though. You know what I'm saying? Like some Mortal Kombat type crap.
Yeah, so they end up going on a spelunking adventure in the Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina. That's where it's set, and it's the opening scene of the movie, like Chipa said, was essentially some Final Destination type stuff.
Right.
If you've seen some of the early Final Destinations that involve trees, and so or tree logs.
Tree logs, yeah.
So the director, I've actually seen a lot of his work after this movie without even knowing that he was directing those movies. And it's pretty extensive. I think that that director might be like my spirit animal or something, because whatever he puts out, I like, and I don't even know that he's putting it out. I just watch it, and it always seems to be some story about creatures, and people need to fight them, which that's right up my alley. That's how I get down. So yeah, the director's name is Neil Marshall. This movie actually was made on a $3 million budget and made more than $55 million in the box office. Neil Marshall also did a movie called Dog Soldiers, which was his first directed movie. And that's a movie about soldiers that are in the woods and they come across a house and there's werewolves involved. And I happen to like that. And I should have known it was the same guy, but I didn't. And then there's a movie called Doomsday that came out in 2008. Movie called Centurion that has our guy from Eden Lake in it.
Oh, Magneto.
Yeah. And it has and he did Hellboy in 2019. So that was the remake. That wasn't Ron Perlman Hellboy. And then he did The Reckoning, which I have yet to see, I think, and I got to watch that. He also directed a couple of episodes of Game of Thrones. And that episode Blackwater, I think that's one of the I think that's the season 2 big battle scene that they did. But I'm not 100% sure. I got to look back on that. But there's also a movie he did called The Lair. That one I liked. So that one, they're like in a. So the creatures get awakened. I don't know how it happens, but some Royal Air Force pilot or something crashes whatever she's flying, wakes up the creatures, and then um they she basically inadvertently leads them back to an army base. And when those creatures get to the army base, man, it's basically like them soldiers got snipers out. They got, you see all four of the walls, and then they're trying to like keep the creatures back, like Lord of the Rings Part 2 style. And but I love the director. That's why I went down that rabbit hole. Anyway, so what was your take on the first act of the movie, Chipa?
So I was like, paying attention. It takes a little bit of time to build. They're going on a trip, but there's some nuances that you have to pay attention to. I commented on it, didn't even realize what I was commenting on. I had commented on it to Angel, and later on in the movie, he was like, no, remember, you commented on that. And I was like, oh, that's what that was about. So I will say, pay more attention at the beginning, but really, in all honesty, once you get into the caves, it feels like nothing else matters. To get into the caves, prepare for dark, prepare for you. I mean, listen, if you're postmenopausal or going through menopause, you might want to wear some Depends. You might pee your pants a little bit. There you go. There's the PP warning.
All right. So, yeah, if you're menopause, entered the chat. So, where do we go from there? So,
what happens when they get in the cave, Angel?
So they find the cave, and they go in, and it's a big cave, right?
Yeah.
And they start seeing glimpses of things in the shadows. Not long after, they end up trapped. There's a significant injury to one of the girls that goes down there. And remember, these are spelunkers or cave divers or whatever you call them. So they've got their pickaxes, they've got their their cliffhanger starter kit.
Yeah.
And they go deeper and deeper into the cave. Most of it is out of necessity. And somewhere in the second act, all hell breaks loose. And you can't get too spoilery, because what I was telling Chipa was the movie, as far as the creatures go, get less scary the more information that you get.
That's
for
right.
certain reasons.
Yeah.
And there's I wouldn't say it's a twist. Well, I don't know. I guess it's a twist, or maybe it's not a twist, but you begin to understand certain features of whatever they're facing and why. And it kind of makes sense, based on science, because
Right.
And all I'll say is that for big caves like that, there's certain caves in the world that, because of their size and where they're at, they have their own ecosystems. And there's actual, like the certain caves, because they're so big, they have like their own weather systems. Like there could be a storm in a cave that isn't outside, like.
Right.
And then if you separate certain animals in a cave, like let's say fish or whatever, you know, those will essentially be new species that basically spawned off of, you know, their own environment, right? I'm not saying I believe in evolution, but I think that certain adjustments can be made on a certain level for certain animals. And so I'll just leave it at that. And so anyway, back to the story. So third act is crazy, right? A fun game I like to do when I'm watching any sort of movie with a body count or any sort of show or horror movie is I like to try to guess who's going to live the longest. Cheapa crashed and burned. Crashed and burned.
Burned.
And so
but
to
be fair, one of my characters didn't go out the way we thought they would. Let's just say that.
You know what?
They would have survived.
You know what? I think no, wait. So see, I got that part in the second movie. There's a part that's pretty gross, and I thought it was the first movie, but it's actually the second movie. But I'll keep going. So anyway, you know, the people start to get picked off one by one, and then the third act, certain things are made light of, where Cheapa alluded to in the beginning, and essentially like the movie ends, and from what the director said, you can say that there's two endings to the movie depending on your viewpoint in a way. And what would your comments be on the second and third acts of The Descent?
So first of all, I would say this, for those of you that don't like horror movies, one hack specifically with this movie is turn on your dang captions, because the captions will depict like low growling. I knew whenever I seen that, it's probably going to be time to do one of these numbers. I think at one point I was watching with one eye. And so no, I mean, it was good. In some ways it was cliche of a horror movie. I'm not ignorant to horror movies. I just choose not to watch them most of the time. But it was basically cliche to horror movies in that, you know, they do everything wrong, right? They do everything they shouldn't do. You got a group of 5 girls, they split up in a cave, you know. They have their own natural. That was another thing. I think the movie, or the directors, producers, they did a really good job of depicting that not only were they battling whatever was down in those caves, but they were also battling like natural obstacles. For example, you know, injuries. You know, when you go spelunking or cave diving, an injury is bound to happen, you know, and so there was a couple of those types of things that happened. And then some people just lack common sense. One of the girls I picked lacked common sense. You don't sneak up on somebody when they just had the fight of their life.
Also, another thing, I could count on one hand, and I've seen thousands of movies, I could count on one hand where someone had a rope in their hand, and the rope, like, whatever was on the other side of the rope, like, pulled, and someone actually got their hands messed up from the burning of the rope.
Right.
That never happens.
Right.
That never happens in movies, but it's a real thing.
Right.
You know, it's right up there, like
they
that.
Split her dang hand open, because it was like one of them things where it's like you could see the meat.
Not the meat.
Yeah, you could see the meat, like the gushy, you know, like the palm. It was just like split wide open. You could see the fatty tissue, the fascia. You could see
fascia. So yeah, like I could count on one hand where that type of injury happens. And that, I think that is comes into second to the most stupid movie thing that ever, where it's the helicopter doesn't get hurt until he's right on somebody.
Right.
Right? Like it comes over a hill or it comes over the trees or wherever the helicopter comes from, nobody knows it's there. You don't hear it and it just appears out of nowhere. I don't know about you, but me and Chipa used to live in Chicago. I live in Chicago. There's helicopters all the time because of the news and people shooting each other and all kinds of stuff. And you can hear helicopters from miles away.
Miles away. And you can hear them miles after they pass.
So, yeah, the hands on the rope thing comes in a second for that. But kudos on whoever kept that true to form to just be like, hey, man, maybe we should have an injury for someone getting their hands messed up on a rope.
Yeah.
So kudos to that.
Yeah, there was injury, the rope injury. There was a fall, an open fracture, right? So yeah, I mean, there was they had some significant obstacles to overcome on top of the fact that they had Google sitting back there growling lowly. You know what I'm saying? Like they had Chupacabra in the wind somewhere, coming for them. So, I mean, overall, I liked it though. I mean, I hate to say that though, because I don't like watching horror movies. I would never watch it again, but it wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't a horrible movie. The plot was well done. I was a little angry. One of the characters got done wrong. I feel like I'll defend that character to this day, but at the same time, and then I did like the second ending, so to speak.
Yeah.
The second ending was interesting. It almost made me want to go watch the second movie. I don't think my heart can take that, but it was a good second ending too.
Everybody, like, comment, and subscribe, but also comment that you want Chipa to watch the second movie, and he has to. Do it. Do it. Do it. Make her watch the second movie.
Right. And
it's not as good of a movie, but it's still more of the same. And sometimes you just need seconds. Sometimes, sometimes if something is good, you need it again. If she could watch Clear Mind again.
Clear Mind was a well-behaved movie, according to you. They were behaving well. They had some act right about them. I didn't have to see, spinal cords being removed and eyes being poked out.
Oh yeah, that was like, dude, you talked about some fascia.
Man, yeah, fascia. Ugh, it was horrible. They assassinated a whole family of, I don't know what the hell those things were.
So, yeah, it's a really kick-ass movie.
It was good.
And, for the $2 million budget that they got, I think they got as much of a bang out of their buck as you could get for that type of budget, which sounds like a lot of money to regular people, but it's not. And, it helped one of the premier, at least in Europe, but maybe total in the world, one of the premier directors of action adventure horror, basically spawned his career, because his filmography is pretty good, and I'm gonna be making sure I watch the rest of the movies that I haven't watched yet. So, but the question is, and there's just one question that really matters: is it an bet?
I'd give it an bet on my side. See, listen, now I haven't just dogged any movie that we've watched. Okay. Now if we get a movie that I don't like, it's gonna be on and popping. But right now, these are all very watchable movies. I say it's an bet.
And a place that you can watch this movie at where it doesn't cost anything is Tubi. So, hey, this is Lefty and Cheapa. Peace.
Peace out.